especially happy to hear all the quartets on the first half, and I'd like to acknowledge three of the graduate students who helped work with those groups in the previous part of the semester. Matt Brown, Ken Dromack, and Ken Fishman all helped coach those groups. If you guys would stand. One of the best things about this particular ensemble is that it gives a chance for younger students, freshmen and sophomores, to sit right next to graduate students. And on each of our pieces this afternoon, we're going to rotate parts and seating to a large extent. So you'll see hopefully a well choreographed interval between each piece without too much confusion. So we have two original works to play for you this afternoon and three transcriptions. We began with work of Bach, originally for the organ, and set really nicely in 8 parts for Tuba Euphoniam ensemble. We're going to continue with a piece also in 8 separate parts by American composer Walter Hartley, who has written over 20 works for euphonium and tuba in various combinations. And the musical language in this piece is obviously much different than Bach, but we think it really suits the instruments well and shows them off in a number of different settings. So we'll play for you now this work of Walter Hartley, Sinfonia number 10, 4 movements. This is a really amazing adaptation of some of the ending sections of Stravinsky's Firebird Suite for tuba, Euphonium ensemble, 4 parts in most cases. And the transcription was done by, obviously, a tuba player. This is by Skip Gray, who's the professor of tuba and Euphonium at the University of Kentucky. So we'd like to play the Berceuse and finale for Firebird. piece is written by a jazz vibraphonist. It's an example of what happens when a jazz vibraphonist meets a tuba player, and we'll drink a few beers and talk about a composition for tuba ensemble. Thank you again for coming out to hear our concert this afternoon. We appreciate seeing so many friends and family of players up here in the audience, and appreciate the fact that you're here to recognize their hard work and their efforts individually and collectively. So thank you for being here. Now the most recognizable piece on the program, and a little known fact that John Williams, the composer, in fact, played tuba for a while early in his career. So we think this is a fitting adaptation of this short section from Star Wars, done by Andy Miller. So.
a physiology major, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. So I can, because I'm going to put your name in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Well, probably just medicine and like techniques based off of perhaps research papers or some sort of evidence that it actually works.
Can you give an example of evidence-based medicine in a medical practice?
Perhaps
Possible.
prescribing like Lipitor to people who have high blood pressure.
What percentage of doctors across the country do you think practice evidence-based medicine?
I would hope a high percentage, so they can, the outcome and whatnot. No.
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
I don't know.
Do you have any evidence that they might practice evidence-based medicine? And what would make you think that they would or wouldn't?
I guess if they just like prescribe stuff randomly, then I would say no. But I don't like doctors, so.
Do you think that research in the United States lends itself to evidence-based medicine?
I would tend to say yes.
Do you think that
I concur with you, Andy
I
McCoy.
have to rewrite these questions. Do you think the U.S. is the leader in evidence-based medicine? Because they're all yes or no questions.
I would hope so.
That's good enough. What's your major?
Lyman Briggs Physiology.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
I'm not sure what evidence-based medicine is, to be honest with you.
If you had to make a guess, what would you guess?
Medicine that uses research instead of clinical observations.
How many doctors in the nation, like what percentage do you think practice evidence-based medicine?
Probably less than 5%, I'd guess.
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Why do you think they don't? What would make you think they did, or what makes you think they don't?
Let's see. Just, my doctor, he tends to look me over and make sure everything's okay, and bases what he gives me off of what he sees. So I guess that might be evidence, but digging myself a hole.
Do you think that the U.S. is the leader in evidence-based medicine throughout the world?
If what I think of what evidence medicine is, I would say no, because it seems that it's just kind of like get the pill and then leave from the office and you're cured kind of thing. So, but I'm not sure.
Do you think there are barriers in the United States in the healthcare system or otherwise that might keep evidence-based medicine from becoming more used?
Again, if I'm thinking what it is correctly, then I would say there's probably an implied barrier. There's always that make the pharmaceutical companies happy, and which is too bad. But I think there probably is some sort of barrier. So.
Thanks. That's it. What's your major?
Human biology through Briggs.
Okay. What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
I think it's medicine based on evidence.
Can you give
Well, I
me-
mean, when you do research and whatnot, and you come up with things that might be solutions, and you try them out, and some things will work and some won't. And evidence-based medicine is, I think, this medicine that is grounded in real research.
Can you give me an example of evidence-based medicine in a medical practice?
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot, but it'd probably take longer than you have for me to think of a good example.
Do you think your doctor uses evidence-based medicine?
Sometimes, I mean, I haven't been to my family practitioner in a while, but the ones at Olin, I don't know. I just tell them my symptoms, and they say, "Oh, well, here's what I'm going to give you." And
how about your family doctor? Like, you can think back to when you were young.
That was a long time ago, but yeah, I mean, I would hope so.
Do you have any? What makes you think that they did or didn't?
Because I was a kid and I didn't understand what he was doing, so I just took, you gotta just kind of take his word for it. Now, I'd probably be a little bit more aware of what he's prescribing me or what he's doing. So.
What percentage of doctors in the United States do you think practice evidence-based medicine?
One would hope a high percentage, at least 95%, but it wouldn't surprise me if somebody told me that was lower.
Do you think that the U.S. is the world leader in evidence-based medicine?
No, I
Do
don't.
you think we're, if there were rankings, do you think we'd be high or low? Or
I'd hope we'd be at least top 5, but I don't know about number 1.
What barriers do you think there might be in the healthcare system in the United States that would keep evidence-based medicine from becoming?
Moral issues. I mean, obviously the stem cell research issue is a big one, and I mean, as a science major, we all know that stem cell research has a lot of potential, and you know, obviously right now we can't get a lot of it going, and so you know, it's kind of hard to do the research we need to do without, you know, being allowed to do it.
Cool.
So.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
What's your major?
I am microbial biotechnology.
Then that's not Briggs?
It is Briggs. It's microbiology. Yes.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Maybe medicine where there was more of a scientific background, research-based medicine.
Can you give me an example of maybe evidence-based medicine in medical practice, how it might be used?
If you were doing specific research and, say there was a doctor that also worked in a research lab and he did research work and then specifically did that medicine within that field, and he could look at a patient and say, this is my research, I do research on this, and I can see a clinical product, and then you can walk into the lab, and go, okay, well, this is the effects of this, my research.
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
I think a lot of doctors don't practice evidence-based medicine. I think they practice based on maybe more of, what they read in a book or what they look up in a book.
And is that evidence then? Or is that a different kind of?
I think it's a different sort of evidence. I think that's trusting more so what somebody else understands versus maybe what they personally understand through their own evidential research or their own learning.
What percentage of doctors do you think in the United States practice evidence-based medicine?
I would probably think it was a lower percentage than what I would expect it to be, maybe 20%. I'd probably think that it occurred more in the osteopathic medical field than the medical doctor field.
Do you think the U.S. is one of the world leaders in evidence-based medicine, or we're trailing behind some other countries? Or?
I would probably think we're trailing behind. There's medicine in places like Canada where they do a lot more, research-based evidence in medicine.
Do you think that research in the United States sort of lends itself or helps out the cause of evidence-based medicine at all?
Yeah, I'd say that it would.
And do you think there are any barriers in the healthcare system that we have towards evidence-based medicine, or that would keep evidence-based medicine from becoming more common?
I think it slows down the process of A, someone becoming a doctor, and B, I think it slows down the process of being able to treat things. I think it could lead to a better understanding of what we're treating, but to occur, I think it occurs less rarely.
Thanks.
Yep.
What's your major?
Lyman Briggs Human Biology.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Being unfamiliar with the term evidence-based medicine, I would suppose that it means keeping statistics on cases and outcomes and treatments and using these statistics in order to predict what would be the best treatment for a patient in the future.
Can you give me any examples of evidence-based medicine in practice or in
Yes, actually I'm helping with I forget her name, a resident's research study. We're looking at post-spinal tap headaches and whether or not they're more common when they use the big needle, which the physicians prefer, or the little needle, which the hospital administration is trying to push. And they're saying that the published rate of 50% is too high. It's really more like 15, so therefore they don't have to change the little needle. And we're going through files.
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
I don't know who my doctor is.
Just like your primary care doctor, whoever you would identify as the
Um,
doctor that you go to.
I'll identify my dad. Does he use it? Yeah, I think he is. I've seen him do kidney stone studies and things like that.
What percentage of doctors in the U.S. do you think practice evidence-based medicine?
I'm gonna guess it's low. I'm gonna guess like 30%.
Do you think that the U.S. is one of the leaders in the world in terms of evidence-based medicine?
I really wouldn't know. There's ways I would say yes, I'd say no. I think there'd be European countries or Japan that could be ahead.
Do you think that medical research in the United States lends itself well to evidence-based medicine? Or is it done for other reasons and doesn't really relate well to?
I could see how it would and it should. I don't know if it actually applies in practice. That's what I would, at least what my goals and ambitions are to do, is to use an evidence-based research medicine to treat and prevent. I don't know if other people do.
Finally, do you think there are any barriers to evidence-based medicine in the healthcare system that we have?
Probably, yeah. There's got to be something with HMOs telling you can and cannot do things the way, even if something is more expensive but works better. There could be cost benefits to that in the end. There might also be tradition barriers where people don't want to do something or do want to do something just based on that's how they were taught.
Cool, thank you. What's your major?
Biochemistry and zoology.
Lyman Briggs School?
Lyman Briggs, yes.
For both?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I didn't put it at the bottom of the thing.
Okay.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Well, I would say evidence-based medicine would be pretty much all medicine, I would assume, because, I mean, we've developed medicines that I assume have been tested for treatments and other things like that. So.
Can you give me an example of evidence-based medicine in use?
Well, like surgeries, I would say, be evidence-based medicine to go in and fix problems. So.
Does your doctor use evidence-based medicine, do you think?
I would hope so.
Do you have any evidence that your doctor uses evidence-based medicine?
No.
What percentage of doctors in the United States do you think practice evidence-based medicine?
100% would be my guess, yes.
Good. Do you think that the U.S. is among the world leaders in evidence-based medicine?
Yes, we are among world leaders in healthcare and healthcare standards and statistics, so yes.
Finally, do you think there are any barriers in the United States healthcare system to evidence-based medicine, things that would make it hard for evidence-based medicine to?
That's a good question. I suppose funding for research and that sort of thing would probably be a limit to evidence-based tests and stuff that would be run, so that'd be one barrier I can think of.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
You know, I learned recently that bean curd, it's hard to get my mind around it.
What's your major?
Am I on camera here?
Camera's on, yes.
All right.
We are rolling. There's a red light.
Hi. What is my major?
What is your major?
Start it up.
I'll just cut it out.
Okay.
What's your major?
Chemical engineering.
Okay, I just want to, okay, because I have to type them at the bottom, so in case I forget. Not
Right.
that I would forget. What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Evidence-based medicine is, I guess, the use of scientific method and controlled testing in medical procedures.
Can you give me an example of evidence-based medicine used in the healthcare industry?
Well, for pharmaceuticals, there are controlled studies done to test their efficacy.
Do you think that your doctor uses evidence-based medicine?
Well, I don't know. I can't really think of any particular instances that I mean, I've never had any major treatments or anything.
Yeah, but even for simple things, checkups. Do you think your doctor would investigate what practice evidence shows is the best, and then use that practice?
I guess I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay. What percentage of doctors do you think in the United States practice evidence-based medicine? Just
Well,
kind of a rough guess.
I don't know, 25%.
Do you think the U.S. is one of the world leaders in evidence-based medicine?
I don't know, I would guess so.
And finally, do you think there are any barriers in the healthcare system in the United States that would prevent evidence-based medicine from coming to fruition?
Well, it seems to me the barrier to evidence-based medicine is just the difficulty of doing controlled studies with medical procedures, because you need to be able to look at how they affect human subjects, and you can't just do whatever you want with human subjects.
Thank you, Tim. What are your majors?
Hi, physiology and philosophy.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Well, evidence-based medicine, I think it would be medical procedures and treatments that evidence suggests are the best course of action.
Can you give me an example of evidence-based medicine in use?
Probably drugs for chemotherapy. There are probably good reasons why they use those drugs as opposed to other drugs. Double-blind studies that indicate their effectiveness.
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
My doctor? I think he relies on a flow chart to make most of his diagnoses. And I think that's, doctors really operate mostly based on current practices of the medical profession.
Do you think that the U.S. is one of the world leaders in evidence-based medicine?
No, I kind of doubt that. I think that the U.S. has strong pressures to discourage evidence-based medicine.
What exactly would those pressures be in your mind?
Oh, the pharmaceutical industry tries to prevent drug trials from testing their drug versus the other competitor drug. So they test their drug versus placebo oftentimes.
What percentage of doctors in the U.S. do you think practice evidence-based medicine?
I'd say 5 or 10%.
Do you think that research, biomedical research in general in the United States, lends itself well to evidence-based medicine?
Well, there's the inherent challenges of doing double-blind studies with human subjects, and ethical issues arise. But I think there are challenges in the U.S. system.
Finally, you've mentioned one already. What barriers do you think exist to evidence-based medicine in the United States healthcare system?
Yeah, I'd say the largest barrier is, lobbying and pressure by pharmaceutical industry, HMO companies on the government to prevent evidence-based medicine from being widely adopted. Okay, now do it again. That would be really stupid. Okay.
What's your major, sir?
Latin American Studies and French. Okay, yeah. My major's physiology. I've been a physiology major ever since Tom Adams, swept me down that path.
So you're applying to medical school?
Hopefully.
How'd you do in the MCAT?
Well, not too hot.
I bet you took Kaplan?
No, I didn't.
No Kaplan?
No,
Princeton review?
just Tom Adams' course.
Tom Adams' course. Well, what do you think evidence-based medicine is?
I don't know. I think it has something to do with, doctors cooking, or something like that. No, CSI. CSI is evidence-based medicine, right there.
That's really interesting. What's your major?
Physiology. My major is physiology.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
I think it's what most medicine is. Medicine that's been tested with double-blind studies and the like.
Can you give me an example of evidence-based medicine in use, like in practice?
I'll say that pharmaceuticals are all based on evidence.
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
I think all doctors practice evidence-based medicine.
What evidence do you have of your specific doctor using evidence-based medicine? Any times you recall or anything?
I just assume that in general anything they're going to do has been approved by a federal commission or Federal Drug Administration.
How many doctors in the country do you think, what percentage of American doctors do you think practice evidence-based medicine? I, again, would say that all of them must practice it if it's approved by the government. Do you think that the U.S. is one of the world leaders in evidence-based medicine? Yes, I think that the U.S. is one of the world leaders in evidence-based medicine. And finally, do you think there are any barriers in the United States healthcare system that might prevent evidence-based medicine from becoming as utilized as it could be? No, I think that it's utilized already as fully as possible. Thank you, sir.
Anyone not use evidence-based medicine? Don't be silly.
Shut up! What's your major?
I'm a physics major.
What do you think evidence-based medicine is?
Evidence-based medicine, I think, is, I describe it as medicine that there needs to be some type of symptom or evidence there abound for the doctor or physician to prescribe anything or to do anything. So,
Do you think your doctor practices evidence-based medicine?
yeah, I believe he does. Knowing that in the family that I'm in, with my mother being a nurse and whatnot, knowing that the only time I do go to the doctor is when there's some type of evidence of me having some type of symptom or coming down with something, that's usually when I go into the doctor. So I guess at least my situation with the 1-2 combo there, I'd say we probably do practice.
Do you have any examples of times you've gone to the doctor and it struck you that he was using evidence-based medicine, or in retrospect it struck you?
Oh gosh, I never really thought about it.
What percentage of doctors do you think in the United States practice evidence-based medicine?
I'd say probably close to 45 to 50%.
Would you say that the U.S. is one of the leaders in the world in evidence-based medicine?
Yes and no. I guess depending on certain situations and whatnot, I think determines whether or not evidence-based medicine is put into use. So.
And finally, do you think there are any barriers in the healthcare system in the United States that would prevent evidence-based medicine from being utilized?
Any barriers? I think there are a lot of barriers in the current health system right now. A lot of people can't get health care, and so aren't able to experience medicine at all, let alone evidence-based medicine. So I say that there are some barriers, but I think they're very generic in how people get their health care and whatnot.